FRSIS 2024. Now, I would like to introduce our judges today. The Chief Judge is Mr. Muhammad Shahrizan bin Sazali, Head of Education, Consumer Associations, Penang. The second judge is Ms. Shaharni Alia binti Shahrizan from Sekolah Menengah Sains Pokok Sena. The third judge is Mr. Amzari Rafhan bin Muhammad Ramli from Sekolah Menengah Agama Persekutuan Bentong. And I, Ahmad Atif bin Azhar from Sekolah Menengah Sains Kuala Terengganu, while the timekeepers Siti Aisyah Syaiful Zamri and Ihsan Safwan bin Daud are from Sekolah Menengah Sains Tuanku Syed Putra, Perlis. Now, allow me to read the rules. First, each team should consist of presenters and a technical assistant. Second, the presentation must focus on the sub-theme assigned to the team. Next, the duration of the presentation should not be more than 10 minutes. Next, the bell will be rung once at the 9-minute mark and twice at the 10th minute mark. So a Q&A session will be conducted after each presentation. Is that clear? So now I would like to invite Sekolah Tun FATIMAH presenters to present.
Yes. Panels, Chair, ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia has not always been an exemplary country when it comes to environmental and climate condition. Therefore, an immediate wake-up call needs to be done to ensure that we are not living in a bubble, because we believe that this wake-up call embeds in the education system itself. But before that, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning we bid to everyone. I, Nur Adina Farha,
I, Izarahim,
and I, Iman Sofia, from
Sekolah Tun FATIMAH,
will be presenting our topic today, Revolutionizing Green Education in Malaysia, introducing the Asas Kelestarian subject.
Is it enough?
To start, let us look at what's happening in Malaysia right now. Currently, we are facing an environmental crisis due to not only natural causes, but also due to unawareness as well as irresponsible behavior. Deforestation, pollution, both of which are only mere examples of what is occurring in our country right now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, one thing can affect everything. The crisis we are facing can impact our country inevitably. Take a look at our surroundings. We see animals going extinct due to loss of habitat. Plants are not growing due to unpredictable weather. Everything, in one way or more, directly or indirectly, is caused by this environmental predicament. But not only that, it is also affecting us. If we say that plants are not growing, then what happens to the farmers? If we say that people are losing their jobs due to this crisis, then what happens to our economic stance? Social disruption, health concerns, and economical crisis. These are the impacts on the world. Now, the following pie chart shows the second crisis we are facing, awareness and knowledge, the most crucial component, and yet only a minority of our society is aware. Now, panels, we have identified two main issues of today. So, let us bring you our solution for tomorrow. Firstly, what are our objectives? We have three things, all of which points towards the betterment of the environment, as well as nurturing and adapting sustainable practices and awareness among our society.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the floor, right now, let's have an overview regarding the main component of our presentation today, which is the Asas Kelestarian subject. What it is. For everyone's information, Asas Kelestarian is a subject introduced by the government in the year 2017 as an initiative to instill a deeper understanding regarding sustainability among students in Malaysia. However, note that this subject is just an elective subject. It is not holistically implemented toward all schools in Malaysia. Now that we have understood that this subject is definitely an initiative taken by the government, we need to understand its cruciality. Why do we need to integrate the green education in education systems today? We have four main key. Firstly, of course, is for the environmental awareness. You have to have a deeper comprehension regarding ecological impact, as well as equipping future generation with the important critical thinking skills. Next, we also want to flourish the green economies. Last but not least, and the most importantly, is regarding the global responsibility. We believe that everyone has to work hand in hand in order to address every single global and climate challenges.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's now take a look at the curriculum components of Asas Kelestarian. Based on the Asas Kelestarian textbook, core topics introduced to students are the development of green technology, waste treatment, energy sources, and sustainable development. When it comes to the teaching methods utilized, if you observe closely, you would see that the most of the methods displayed emphasizes on hands-on based learning and less on theory-based learning. This makes it clear that Asas Kelestarian are training students to practice sustainable lifestyle rather than just a conceptual understanding of the subject.
To continue, every ups has its down, every solution has its challenge. In slowly implementing the subject of Asas Kelestarian, we are faced with many challenges. Number one, exclusive integration due to its nature as an elective subject. Thus, it is not being offered to many schools. Number two, because it is newly introduced back in 2017, there are not many information regarding the subject, especially on Google, where most students would refer to. Number three, lack of trained teachers, where we say that there are not enough specialized teacher training programs specifically for the subject. And lastly, Asas Kelestarian, we see, is seldom put as a priority subject compared to other subjects such as mathematics or science. Nonetheless, we have conducted researches to further understand Asas Kelestarian. Quantitatively, we have conducted a Google Form survey to evaluate our youth's understanding of climate change. The survey was taken by students taking Asas Kelestarian and students who are not. Qualitatively, we have conducted interviews in the form of transcripts with Asas Kelestarian students as well as an Asas Kelestarian teacher. Other than that, meta-analysis through published theses such as the Ministry of Education Malaysia's official website as well as mainstream education platforms has also been done.
Next up, let us all take a look at our case study and findings in order to validate the proposal that we are going to provide to you at the end of our presentation. Firstly, take a look at this pie chart. It is a comparison of global green education implementation. It is clear and has a significant improvements regarding the students' environmental behavior. We could see that before, an excessive usage of non-biodegradable materials as well as less practicality towards the environment was done by the students. However, after the implementation, more usage of eco-friendly products and materials has increased and also causing less harm towards the environment. Secondly, we'll provide you with these examples to illustrate the successful outcomes of integration of green education. Both instances were first provided by Ministry of Education Malaysia and Malaysia's environmental non-governmental organization. We could see that there is a significant improvement from only 28% of students increase up to over 70% of students get an increased understanding regarding sustainability concepts, while less than 25 students has increased to over 70% can now accurately explain the causes and causes and impacts of climate change.
Moving on to the most awaited question. Is Asas Kelestarian enough, ladies and gentlemen? We provided with three aspects: education, environment, and social. While we do agree that it has its strengths, we also believe that it is not yet sufficient to further enhance our green education.
Ladies and gentlemen, action definitely speaks louder than words. Therefore, we provide you with these three proposals in order to achieve the betterment for the future of our education and sustainability. Firstly, is the changes towards the policy. We would like to suggest a holistic integration of green education as well as making it a compulsory subject. However, it is optional for SPM candidates. What are the aspects that we're going to look at? From primary school students, we would like to allocate at least 30 minutes per week just for the exposure towards green habits and also basic principles. Meanwhile, for secondary school students, we would like to allocate at least 2 hours per week for hands-on learning experience, also problem-based project. Secondly, is regarding institutional support. We would like to encourage universities to prioritize fundings for sustainability researchers as well as projects. And we would like to encourage them to collab with local communities to address every single climate issues. Now, how does this can look like? For example, is making monthly campaign and projects and also research guided by professionals and expertise from that particular university. Thirdly, we would like to encourage the government and NGOs collaboration. For example, we would like to use the initiative to allocate some funds and also resources towards the green education field. Secondly, is to enhance the teacher training programs and create a comprehensive curriculum development. What are the examples that they can do? For examples, they could organize workshops, seminar, all of that in order to enhance and increase the number of trained educators in terms of green technology. Secondly, the partnership in creating interesting campaigns to attract more participants in the sustainability awareness and also to mobilize community resources.
Ladies and gentlemen, throughout every challenge and improvement, we believe that SDG 4 quality education can be achieved. Why do we say so? Firstly, we have achieved inclusivity through making Asas Kelestarian compulsory for all. Secondly, our education will be equitable for everyone with government allocations towards realizing this effort. And lastly, it will be a lifelong learning opportunity because the knowledge learned is a knowledge to be used even after graduating from school. Last but not least, students must become active practitioners of green habits. By this, we do not mean any complicated habits necessarily, by simply picking up litter from the ground, turning off the tap to save water, and turning off electricity. We believe that changes can be made to our environment. And with that, we end our presentation. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Now, a Q&A session will be held, so participants are open to ask questions.
Test. Okay, so my question is, how can modern day technology be leveraged to enhance environmental education in green schools?
Okay. Thank you. First of all, thank you for the question. We believe that with modern technology, green education in schools can be further improvised in terms of education. Why do we say so? Because right now, if you look at the Asas Kelestarian textbook, you will see that the education, one of the core topics is mostly based on green technology, which is why we say that in terms of the advancement of technology, we say that it is a leverage for us to further enhance our green education. Thank you.
Right, good morning. Thank you for your presentation. I just have one question regarding your online survey, right? Okay. I would like to know, how do you choose your respondents? Is it random sampling or purposive sampling?
Is it random? Okay. Okay, so thank you for that question. So for the survey, we actually sent it to both schools with Asas Kelestarian subject and also with schools that doesn't have this Asas Kelestarian subject at all, in order to test their knowledge regarding sustainability in the basic terms, which means that we ask them a set of questions regarding sustainability, environmental concepts, just to know if if Asas Kelestarian students could do it any better. There are 139 respondents. Thank you for the question.
All right. Thank you. So that will be all for our Q&A session. Thank you, the presenters from Sekolah Tun Fatimah.
Bismillah. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, let's look what is the problem that we have right now. So one of our major problem that we have right now is actually people are being ignorant not only towards our environment but also towards our nature. So this is a very critical problem as it is not going to only affecting harm towards us but also towards our further generations. So today we, the representative of Sekolah Menengah Agama Persekutuan KAJANG, today we're going to bring forward our research entitled Green Foundation Bolstering the Future. So this bright idea has been brought up by one of our brilliant member named Azalia, and four of us, including me, Kaiser, Nu'man, and Sufi, combined our ideas together in order to manifest this major problem, and we have come up with this research. And we are also greatly being helped by our lovely teacher, Madam Aisha. Thank you, Madam. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning to us honorable educators, meticulous timekeeper, and also to my lovely viewers. So let's understand the basic fundamental first. What is actually green school, you might ask? So let me tell you. Green schools, ladies and gentlemen, are schools that not only integrates green practices inside of their schools, but also have green inside of their construction and also their infrastructure. And they also be inside of a green environment. So these green schools will emit less carbon emissions compared to normal schools. So there are one of the prime examples that we want to give today. A school that practices green practice is with pride and honor our school. Sekolah Menengah Agama Persekutuan Kajang. So in order to show our support and love for our Mother Earth, we have run numerous green-related programs and campaigns in order to relieve the pain of our Mother Earth that the Mother Earth is having right now. So let's move on towards the objective that we want to point out today. There are three main objectives, ladies and gentlemen. The first one, we want to assess the awareness regarding about these green schools towards the people, towards the community, towards others. And second, after we assess the awareness, we want to actually identify these effects of the application of these green schools towards the environment. And last but not least, we want to actually propose and share these practices to show how it can actually efficiently improve our country's sustainability. So let's move on towards our methodologies. So we had three main methodologies that we had used. The first one, we have made an open survey and we managed to get exact 49 different respondents from different backgrounds and different age group that will be classified later on. And then we also have referred to numerous documents and journals, for instance, LEED for existing building made by Ashley Katz in 2012. Second, a research entitled Studies on Electrical Consumption by Students by Lee Pei Mei in 2023. And the last example that I want to point out today is about a document entitled Green Future made by IREC, International Council, IREC. Okay. So we also have made a lot of extensive research, but actually visited multi-officials and authorized websites in order to come up with a much more appropriate and also a much more better analysis for our research. Thank you.
Sorry for the intervention. So, teachers and fellow students, with our first research methodology, and that is with the cohesive surveys, we have brought upon 6 questions to be asked to a wide and variety range of respondents to assess 3 main things in this research, ladies and gentlemen. And that is that first, we would like to assess the people's awareness regarding green schools. Second, we would like to assess the understanding and the knowledge of people regarding about the topic. And last but not least, we would like to assess the practices that these people do inside of their everyday lives. On the first one, when we would like to assess the people's awareness regarding green schools, we have extracted the answers out inside of a graph. And it has shown to us that most of the people age ranging from 13 to 17, 18 to 19, 20 to 51. Most of them have heard about green schools before in their lifetime. And this results is being contrasted with the pie chart on the next, when we are trying to assess the knowledge and the opinions of the people regarding on the green schools. Even though that the majority of the respondents have heard about green schools before, only 32% of them get the ideas regarding green schools right. And that is that green schools are about green practices. Well, it means that the others, the 44%, 12%, and 12% regarding green practices and green technology, green environment, all of these people have lacked the knowledge and understanding regarding on the topics, and
And it just shows to us that when people care less about the environment, they would care less about reading more and understanding regarding on the topic, and therefore it means that it would also lead to the insufficient of the practices done by the respondents. But even though there is darkness, there is always light in the end of every tunnel, ladies and gentlemen. As when we try to see the practices that these respondents do inside of their everyday lives, even though that they do not understand the concepts and the opinions regarding green schools, they still do green practices in order to help combat against climate change. And that is one, by recycling. There is other than that, there are also 3R, correct waste management, and others, for example, decomposing organic waste in order to be made into fertilizers. With the next second, with the uniqueness of green schools, we have using our second research methodology, and that is with the document analysis and the extensive research. We have brought to you 3 uniqueness and the principles of green schools. And that is, first, green schools are schools which integrates green technology inside of its infrastructure. For example, the usage of renewable energy all of this would then teach the
%80. Second example is that we could see in a city public school where they have a rule that mandatory for all the students to not throw items in the trash can unless the item cannot be recycled or be decomposed. And this has also have shown effective by they can reduce the garbage waste up to 24%. For our third example is that we could see in member school that is located in Thailand where they have constructed their school using eco-friendly materials, which is in the name itself bamboo. And this have shown effective by they could reduce the carbon emission because we know that to construct a building produce a lot of carbon to the environment. And moreover, we could see in Fur High School, which is in Texas, they've engaged themselves in a in a committee called garden community where we have made garden in their school so that they could show the student about what is the importance of the environment. And there are also other examples that we can see, such as water conservation and permaculture that have a lot of effective if the school implement the green school. So based on that, we've made a few resolutions that we want the school and the government to do. So for our first resolution is that we want to advocate more green activities to the citizens, such as more campaign and more program. Second, we want to enhance green practice in school by putting 3RBs in a strategic location and compost all the leftover food and turn it into fertilizer. Third, we want to build school based on LEED LED rating system, which LED stands for Leadership in Energy on Environmental Design, where this LED system can control the usage of the energy. And lastly, we want to enact law on sustainability. So to summarize our representation, we believe that the green path pave a greener future. And that's all from us. Thank you.
All right, now we will move on to the Q&A session.
My name is Halimatus from Sekolah PUTERI, and my question is, wouldn't building a green school be expensive? That's all.
Thank you for the question. So we understand your concerns because green schools are basically schools with advanced technology, right? But green schools such as the LEED certificate schools are designed to save water, energy, and also money. According to US Green Council, LEED certificate schools do not have to cost a penny more than a conventional schools. In fact, more than 3,000 schools are LEED certified, and this school achieved the certification by by having a building cost and budget that does not exceeded normal schools building budgets. So to answer your question, it is not expensive, and in the long run, it could even save money and provide the money back for to use in the school. Any more question?
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. There is effect when you use Pelosonar. In this case, you said in green school, we try to apply the Pelosonar in school. There is effect to environments. Can you give one or two effect when we use Pelosonar in green school?
So
negative effect to environment. Can you give one or two negative effect, Pelosonar to environment?
So the bad effects if we use solar panel to the environment is that to produce solar panel, it will produce a lot of carbon or chemical reaction to the environment. That's the first bad effect. For the second bad effect is that um, is that they and because solar panel is not solar panel is made from not a very it's not less it's not it won't last very long. So when there are a lot of people using solar panel, when they are broken, because some of the solar panel are easy to be broken because it's really it's easy it's because it's exposed in the outside. So because of that, if a lot of solar panels are being thrown out, it will harm the environment because of the chemical that they are produced.
Okay, thank you. Since we are living in the modern era of technology, how do AI and IoT implement in educational awareness in green schools? That is my question. Thank you. My question is, how do AI and IoT implement educational awareness in green schools?
By using okay, sorry. So by using AI and new modern technologies inside of today's world, we can actually help the environment by actually upgrading these technologies so that it will be much more eco-friendly in the future, because as we know that right now AI is actually not very environmental friendly, as it can emit a much more carbon emission with the inside of their infrastructures. Does that answer your question? All of this would then teach, all of this then would actually improve our R&D in order to make little by little improve our technologies in order for it to achieve total zero carbon neutrality. Thank you. That's all from us. Thank you.
Presenters from SMAP KAJANG. Now, continuing our presentation, I would like to invite Sekolah Menengah Sains TENGKU Abdullah for your presentation. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To the honorable judges, the respected moderators, the most vigilant timekeepers, and our fellow audience. We are from Sekolah Menengah Sains TENGKU Abdullah. Now, in an era where education plays a crucial role in sustainability, especially at the secondary level, where students start to develop career goals, our research, sustainable and environmental integration in secondary educational institution looks at how schools are adding sustainability to their lessons. So before we go throughout the whole presentation, this will be our contents.
Now, moving on introduction. So, what is Green School, you all may ask? The Green School is a school that focuses on being environmentally friendly. As an example of Green School characteristic, which is sustainable infrastructure. Now, our research is about we want to integrate sustainability into secondary educational institution, but we will explain it further in the framework. Secondary institutions lack green school awareness because they don't have much knowledge regarding green school. Last but not least, the significance of ensuring is prioritize well-being of students and staff by creating a healthy environment.
Before we went through the research, we came across a few problem statements. As for the first problem statement, it is that the planet is affected by climate change faster than we expected, faster than anyone realizes. As for the second problem statement, it is that pollution can cause harm to the residents, as stated by Shah and Devi in 2019. In another article, as stated by RSA Usmani in 2020, it is stated that hospital admissions is actually closely associated with air pollution in Malaysia. As for the third problem statement, it is that there is limited exposure to environmental awareness to the young, as stated by Maleficio in 2018.
However, no research can be done without any objective, and this leads us to our next section, which is research objective and research question, also known as RO and RQ. Our first RO, we want to determine students' attitude regarding environment awareness. Furthermore, we are desired to witness what influence secondary institution community in sustainable practices. Last but not least, we aim to ensure an initiative, to make sure that students are having a green school attitude. Our RQ in relation of our RO. Now, moving on to methodology, we utilized mixed method research design, which consisted of quantitative and qualitative. For research instruments, as you can see, we used questionnaire. We adapted our questionnaire from Rivas et al. 2024, while our semi-structured interview question for focus group discussion, we adapted from Ministry of Education of British Columbia 2010 and Zalanani and Pereira 2021. Our other research instrument is systematic review, where we use scholarly articles which has been validated. For population, our target population consisted of semester community, which consisted of different batches. And for sampling, we utilized purposive sampling in the form of homogeneous samplings that defines all students from different batches with the same background. That is, they all study at Sekolah Menengah Sainsri ABDULLAH. And we also use maximum variation sampling that defines widest range of perspective as much as possible. Last but not least, we use Pearson correlation coefficient to analyze our raw data from questionnaire, and we also use thematic analysis to analyze our systematic review and focus group discussion.
Now, since we adapted our research instruments from existing research, we wanted to test whether our data was valid. Thus, using experts validation, we managed to validate our data, our semi-structured questions, and our questionnaire according to Escobar Pires and Cuervo Martinez, which is an item for validation of instruments. Special thanks to Mrs. Faizatul Hanis and Mr. Tan Tai Chan, respectively.
For reliability, we use two different types of reliability. That is Cronbach Alpha and McDonald Omega. That defines how reliable of group in measuring the same thing. As you can see, all three dimensions, which is interest, concern, and awareness, we have achieved more than 0.7 to reliable to be deemed according to the common academic consensus. Now, moving on to our conceptual framework, these three boxes indicate a relation in where we identify what, why, and how. We first want to investigate students' attitude in our research, that is their interest and concern, which are independent variable, to environmental awareness, which are a dependent variable to sustainable practices, which we can identify what influence students' attitude. But sustainable practices are dependent variable to environmental issues. By sustainable practices, we can determine an initiative to make sure students are achieving a green school attitude. Now, to finding a result, to answer our RQ number 1, which is what is the attitude of high school students toward environmental awareness? Our data shows that whenever a student is interested towards environment, the awareness also increases. That also applies to consent, but according to the data of Pearson correlation, it is a bit low to interest, but also shows an increase in awareness. To answer our RQ number 2, which is why do environmental issues influence the integration of sustainable practices among high school students? We are going to take a look at the most significant theme and the least significant theme. The most significant theme is behavior, which contains 4 codes. Good knowledge and attitudes toward the environment, stated by Besa et al. 2013. And the least significant theme is education, process aimed at creating global population that is aware of and concerned about the entire environment and its problem, stated by Galerio and Naling, 2024.
Now, to answer our research question number 3, only the most significant theme and the less significant theme will be mentioned due to the constraints of presentation time. As for the most significant theme, under the dimension of green theme, as you can see, the most significant theme is activities, while the most significant sub-theme will be 3R practices. As stated by FDB4, we can use the 3R practice to make our school tidier and cleaner. As for the least significant theme, which is initiatives, the sub-themes of promotional activities, FGA2 stated that the school can make posters to promote our green theme.
Moving forward, Under the dimension of energy, the most significant table is practices, while the sub-themes are habits. FGB4 stated that students would close the light and fans on their own, and for the least significant table under the themes of challenges, the sub-themes are monitoring and enforcement. FGA3 stated that we will get demerit if the dorm's light or fan is open. Now, under the dimension of waste, the most significant theme is action, while the sub-themes are acknowledgement. Students are ignorant, they do trash the school, stated by FGA1. And for the least significant table, the themes are management, while the sub-themes are education. Parents and teachers have taught us how to save energy, stated by FGB2.
Moving on to the dimension of water, for the most significant theme, which is infrastructure, under the sub-themes of facilities, it is stated by FGB2 that our school doesn't have aerators since it's a bit pricey. For the least significant theme, which is governance, under the sub-themes of innovation, it is also stated by FGB2 that our school did an innovation where they used cooking oil to become into soap.
To summarize, sustainable practices are important for students' environment to teach them how to save resources at school. Furthermore, students' education heavily relies on their environment since surroundings are key for a better learning. Last but not least, students should be more exposed to greenwashing terms. To define greenwashing, to simplify it, greenwashing is a company that misleading a eco-friendly company.
We also have a few recommendations for future researchers, pardon me, and for stakeholders. As for the first recommendation, it is that schools need to add environmental education to their lessons so that students know how to take care of the environment more. As for the second recommendation, it is that getting everyone in the community involved is crucial. Why? This is because if everyone is involved, environmental education will become more easier. If environmental education is easier, then it will make schools greener. As for the last recommendation, it is that more research needs to be done on non-SPP school. Why? Because other types of schools, such as daily schools and international schools, they don't have the same data applied as SPP schools. For example, on daily schools, people are not like us. They don't they don't live in dormitories. They go back home. As for international schools, there may be a difference in culture. Not like us.
This is all our references. We use APA 7 style, which stands for American Psychological Association, mainly used for human science and social sources. This is a proof that this is a focus group discussion and our pilot study. I am Nurul Akila, your main presenter.
I'm Akif Hilmi, the moderator / presenter number 2.
Ariana Diana, the technical assistant. Muhammad Faiz, the moderator. And our beloved teacher advisor, Mr. Yuzwan.
That is all from us. Thank you very much.
Is there any question?
Assalamualaikum and hi, I'm Nur Amalina from SM Science Alagaja. We know that few students aren't that consistent when practicing environmental awareness. What are your suggestions to overcome this problem?
So if we could go back to the research question number 3. Okay, so here. Okay. So it is said, to answer your question, students' behavior, students' attitude towards environmental awareness. So under the sub-themes of habits, it is said that FDB4 stated that students would close the lights and fans on their own. So this is a sort of behavior, a sort of attitude towards how students will relate environmental awareness to their habits, to their attitudes. And if we could go back to the framework, please, technical assistant. Okay, now in the framework, it is shown that interest and concerns is students' attitude. So in our research, especially for research question number 1, it is stated that the increase of interest also increases in environmental awareness, and the the increase of concerns also increases environmental awareness. So this shows that education and students' behavior, students' attitude towards environmental awareness actually does have an impact. Any other questions? Unclear.
Hello? You say that non-SBP schools have to be researched more for this program, right? But as you can see, international schools already have green school programs. They already have their own base. How does that incorporate?
Okay, to answer your research question, now for SBP and international schools, of course, international schools also have their green school system, but in SBP schools, particularly, the same thing cannot be applied. Why? Because international schools and SBP schools, of course, they have different types of fundings. So for an example, SBP schools could plant trees, as simple as that. It could contribute to environmental awareness. It could create a more sustainable future. And for international schools, I'm sure that you are aware there are like solar panels. Sorry, there are like solar panels. But I still think that the same thing that is applied on SPP schools could be applied to international schools, because international schools are already more in the future. They are already more advanced than us. So why can't they have the same data applied on SBP schools to their schools? As for the other types of schools, like I said, in sekolah harian, in daily schools, it is, they don't, some daily schools are not like us. We are fully residential schools where we sleep in the dorms, where we go to school, where we don't go back home. We go back home once in a month. So that is why the data cannot be applied to SMK. If the answer is your question.
Can we go back to the Pearson correlation coefficient? Okay. No, I mean the data analysis, Pearson correlation. Another one.
Research question number 1.
RQ1.
Oh, this one, right. You have run the Pearson correlation coefficients in order to find the correlation, right? So can you simplify it? Is there any correlations between the variables?
Okay. If I could answer first. Now, Pearson correlation coefficient is where two variables are connected with each other. If we go back to our framework, now it shows that for Pearson correlation coefficient, specifically in RQ1, the Pearson correlation coefficient is between the variable interest and environmental awareness, and concerns and environmental awareness. So go back to RQ number 1. To answer your question, to simplify it, the increase of interest also causes an increase in awareness. For the concerns awareness, which is the relationship between concerns and awareness, it also shows that there is an increase. If we can see, the increase in concerns also increases in awareness, but the number is lower. But that does not mean that the data is not valid. It just means that the relationship is more moderate. That is all. Thank you very much.
to the next presentation from SEKOLAH Sri Puteri. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning I bid to all. In accordance with SDG 4, quality education, and the main theme, the climate emergency, a race we can win, my partner Kyra and I will be presenting our case study regarding bee domestication in green schools. To start, what is bee domestication? Bee domestication can be described as the transformation of a population of organisms away from its wild form that is done in order to fulfill human wants and needs. Now, what is a green school? A green school can be described as a school where the community works together in order to support global sustainability and climate action. These schools prepare students to lead the world towards a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable environment. Each green school must comply to the 3 pillars, namely, to reduce environmental impacts and costs, to improve occupants' health and performance, and lastly, effective sustainability education.
Now, hold your horses, because I can hear you wonder, how are bees and green schools even related? Well, in June of 2020, the International School of Kuala Lumpur once had a sustainability consultant introduce the concept of beescaping to grade 7 science students, wherein they purposely groomed the landscape to be that of a bee's habitat. Unfortunately, this idea has been discontinued, but there are cases of other schools in Malaysia replicating this practice, only to end with the same results, more or less due to hive management problems. But what's the big deal really? Why should you, our esteemed audience, care for this topic? Here's the thing. Bee species face a major decline in their colonies with improper apiary management and lack of conservation being 2 of its notable factors. Right away, let's divert our attention to the benefits of bees in educational settings. To start with, it is an effort of biodiversity conservation, saving these creatures from becoming an endangered species. Following that, these programs nurture a sense of responsibility towards biodiverse creatures. In a sense, they teach students to appreciate what remains of our biodiversity, as well as teaching them the discipline that comes with that trust. Finally, as bees are synonymous with honey, they teach students entrepreneurship skills, where students get to learn the business of selling products produced from pollen, honey, and propolis. Wait, Alima, do me a favor real quick, because for the life of me, I can't recall why bees are so important in the first place.
Don't worry, Kyra. Based on our findings, bees are the main method of pollination used by plants and flowering plants, as seen in the diagram. Without bees, the earth would face a severe shortage of flowering plants. This may seem insignificant, but in reality, it could lead to food shortages and even be linked to the rise in heat due to the lack of trees. Now, before diving into our research objectives, let me introduce you to our problem statement. The domestication of bees in certified eco-schools raises concerns of improper apiary management and the possible repercussions it may have towards the safety of the school community and bee colonies. The first objective of our research is to observe the methods of conduct in beekeeping in schools. Secondly, we conducted this research to find out if beekeeping in green schools could pose a threat towards the school community. How about that, Kyra?
Thank you, Alima. What would I do without you? On to the execution of this study, the methodology used is a mixed methods approach by connecting an interview, survey, alongside meta-analysis. For our first research instrument, we conducted an interview with personnel from University Putra Malaysia, UPM, who happen to be members of an organization dedicated to the welfare of bees. But the quotes where you see are from Dr. Nahisham Razi, a lecturer from the Faculty of Forestry and Environment, Mr. Lee Chin Ken, an active MIBI Saviour member, as well as Dr. Wano Asya Wan Muhammad Adnan, a research assistant from the Faculty of Agriculture. Beyond the conference room, we also got the chance to continue our discussion at UPM's Stingless Bee Farm, a riveting adventure indeed. For our second research instrument, we conducted a survey directed towards 50 respondents from Scholastic Puteri's Form 4 students. For our third research instrument, we carried out meta-analysis by studying and comparing articles taken from reliable sources, utilizing Google Scholar. And because analysis is laborious work, we divided it into 3 parts: analysis of interview transcripts, analysis of survey questionnaires, as well as analysis of selected articles.
Now, what did we gain from this research? Well, here are our findings. First off, if we were to conduct beekeeping in schools, what are the methods of conduct that need to be followed? After analyzing the interview, there are 3 main points. Firstly, is choosing a suitable tree species that can provide sap and resin for the bees in order to create propolis, a substance that is widely used in the cosmetic, health, and food industry. Next, is choosing an apt location that is protected from direct sunlight and located near trees and flowering plants. This can help the bees as they have a source of pollen nearby to create honey. Lastly, is being attentive and diligent in handling the bees. A head beekeeper who has a wide range of knowledge about bees can be elected and given the responsibility to treat them with care.
Wait, do bees actually pose a threat towards students?
Well, based on the meta-analysis, students who participate in gardening or other related activities tend to have a better understanding and attitude towards bees. Assimilating bees in the school curriculum can help reduce misinformation and instead increase support for the bees. Lastly, although educational programs related to bees may incite fear at first, it is an effective method in helping children overcome their distress and make them grow a connection with bees. As for the survey, 22% of respondents have reported a history of being stung by bees, while others have never been stung before. A whopping 80% of respondents are afraid of bees. Shockingly enough, the same amount of people also agree with bee domestication in schools. All in all, the majority of respondents agree that bees do not pose a threat towards the school community. What's that?
What a strangely hexagonal bee. That brings to you our 3 recommendations. Our first subject of interest is the school administration. Schools could form an extracurricular club which provides hands-on experience in beekeeping, just as we did earlier in UPM's Seamless Bee Farm. We also recommend green schools to collaborate with NGOs dedicated to the conservation of bees, such as My Bee Savior. It is imperative that students should not act on their own accord, but with guidance and advice from more experienced workers. Finally, the green school curriculum may include a bee-based syllabus to increase exposure of bee knowledge among students. This is to ensure that misinformation and preconceptions on the physical and behavioral aspects of bees are disqualified. But what about the bees?
In the event that a school would like to start a beekeeping program, they can choose between these 2 types of stingless bees. However, the Thoracica bee is the best option to implement in schools due to its mellow nature, despite being the largest type of stingless bee in Malaysia.
Whoa, that was a lot to take in.
I agree. So, to conclude our presentation, bees are the main pollinators for plants, and having bees in green schools could be a small step towards sustainable beekeeping and could also help students overcome the fear of insects.
Aside from that, forming and organizing a co-curricular club can nurture a gentler approach towards nature conservation in students. Clearly, bees can benefit schools way more than they cause harm. Here, we present our citations as proof of our case study. To end our speech, we thank you for buzzing in.
Now we move on to the Q&A session.
Since we didn't see any reliability and validity analysis, how do we know that your research data and findings are reliable and valid?
To form this research, we used articles mainly from Google Scholar, as we know that is one of the most valid ways to search for research. And that's all. Thank you.
Test. Okay, so my question is, how can green schools ensure the long-term sustainability of beekeeping and pollinators, considering the factors of habitat loss, climate change, and etc.?
First of all, thank you for the question. So, based off our research, as we have said, students should not have to be given the responsibility to take care of the bees on their own. That's why we should have schools to collaborate with NGOs and like research institutes that are dedicated to bees. And those research institutes and NGOs have proper knowledge and skills to be handling these bees. And that should avoid any circumstances that would affect the bees in any way, which does then let the bees do their own thing, which is pollinating their surrounding and habitats. When they do that, they help increase the abundance of the greeneries nearby, roughly.
Okay, so my question is, how can you actually determine the effectiveness of having these bees domestication in our schools? Thank you.
Thank you again for the question. As I've said before, bees do their own thing, which is to pollinate their surrounding habitats and where they live, which is what we want to achieve in the first place. It is to help avoid the extinction of this bee species, to avoid further decline of these bee species. And this bee species would also help pollinate their nearby surroundings. Also, determining the effectiveness of these programs, as I've said, as for the co-curricular clubs, these clubs would help and should help students to increase their knowledge and beliefs towards bees and the way they handle biodiverse creatures as a whole. These programs could help them nurture, like Kyra said before, a sense of responsibility and care for these creatures, and indirectly care for their surrounding environment as a whole.
I am Naufal from SBP Integrasi Kuantan. My question is, how can this beekeeping project provide quality education to students? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Having bees in the school curriculum provide quality education, as it teaches students the importance of biodiversity and ways to and it increases empathy towards these species that are so important in our environment. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. My question is, may I know why do you choose the bee as your main topic of your research?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. As I've said in the presentation, bees are the main pollinators for flowering plants. And they are currently facing a major decline. So we decided to choose this as our topic.
All right, thank you, presenters from MIRI. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum. A very good morning I bid to the respectable judges, the timekeeper, and the members of the floor. We from Sekolah Menengah Sains MIRI will be presenting our research on fostering sustainable practices. Is Sainsri ready? Allow me to start the presentation by introducing our team members. First, Ms. Farahana as our advisor, Brian O'Brien as the technical assistant, Samantha as the reporter, Harsh Zidan as the presenter, and I am Kaisara Bashira as the moderator. In conjunction with SDG4, in which ensuring inclusive and equal quality education and to promote lifelong learning opportunities for all, we have come across one term called sustainable practices, and this refers to the things that we can do to help our environment. After brainstorming about the sustainable practices that could be done in school, we have come up with the problem statements of this research. To what extent is the Sainsri community prepared to embrace sustainable practices in school? And what are the perceptions of Sainsri community towards sustainable practices in school? That being said, there are two objectives for this research, which are to find out the readiness of Sainsri community in implementing sustainable practices in school, and to find out the perceptions towards sustainable practices among Sainsri community. This is a quantitative study, as the study was conducted using online surveys in which we have a set of questionnaires on Google Form. The 209 respondents involved were students aged 13 to 17, Sainsri teachers, school staffs, and 2023 alumni. What you can see from the slide shown right now are the details related to our respondents. A research is not really a research without studying the materials. Before we start collecting the data, we first started our study by reading related articles regarding the topic.
All right. Initially, we have asked our respondents if they have heard about sustainable practices, and 83.6%, which equals to 174 respondents, have stated that they are heard of it. Now, let's go straight to our very first section of this presentation, which is the use of eco-friendly soap in Sainsri. For your information, in conjunction with 12 FRSIS, we have decided to come up with one sustainable practice, which is the use of eco-friendly soap that are made of used cooking oil we got from the school dining hall and the school canteen. Now, we'll look at the responses we've received from our 209 respondents. When asked about the level of familiarity with organic soap, 150 respondents have mentioned that they are familiar with organic soap. Next, 97.6%, which equals to 203 respondents, are interested in receiving samples of soap to be used at home. 86.1% agreed that the use of soap influence your school community to improve its awareness towards sustainable practices for a greener future is useful. Now, let's move on to our first objective, which is perceptions of Sainsri community towards sustainable practices in school. 87.1% agree that the school community should ensure the future generations inherit good green environment, while 11% remain neutral about it. Next, when asked about if each individual is responsible in taking care of the environment, 78.9% agreed to this statement, which tells that Sainsri community is aware in the responsibility in maintaining the environment. Now, for both of these statements, 164 respondents, which makes up to 78.9% of the respondents, agreed that everyone should take necessary actions to curb the global warming issue and achieving green schools by fostering environmental awareness and fostering sustainable practices.
All right, let's move to the next objective, which is to what extent is Sainsri community prepared to embrace sustainable practices in school? With 81.4% of the respondents agreeing that school should promote sustainable practices for all students, this shows that the community is indeed ready for this practice to be implemented widely in school. This is also proven as 88.5% of the respondents, which equals to 184 respondents, are willing to be involved with projects or activities at schools that can help the environment. As mentioned before, we, the Sainsri FRSIS team, came up with one sustainable practice, which is eco-friendly soap. And based from these surveys, it can be simplified that the community welcomes the suggestion of having new sustainable practices at schools, which have 37.7 votes, followed by 3R practices with 20.6%, and the no plastic bag use with 15.1%.
All right, now we have mentioned about the sustainable practices done by Sainsri. Throughout our research, we also look at the sustainable practices done by other countries. Starting from Australian International School, Singapore, they have rooftop solar panels that can generate electricity, which can be sold at the energy market. And Green School Bali, Indonesia, has renewable energy source such as hydropower and solar power. It is designed for the organic permaculture system. The same thing can be seen in Sainsri, as we have renewable energy source like solar panels that are used to power up the night lights. Having a rain barrel concept, the Wasonyiro Primary School in Kenya designs their building to collect rainwater up to 350,000 liters annually in an underground tank. On the other hand, Hong Kong Green School has a rocket composter that can turn waste into salt within 2 weeks for the rooftop garden. Students also tend to garden, promoting species diversity. Well, this can be seen in Sainsri, as the school environment club and the school staff work together to nurture the herb garden at school.
Despite everything, there are some recommendations that were overlooked by our team, and these have been shared by our respondents. Some recommendations
include avoiding the use of harmful pesticides and chemicals, and to involve students, staff, parents, and the local community in green initiatives. Based on this research, we hope more research will be done in the future, such as designing green buildings, sustainable architecture, and protecting habitats. To conclude, the committee is aware of sustainable practices and is willing to be involved with school activities that can help the environment. Sustainable practices are ready to be implemented vastly among sensory community.
Before we end our speech, we would like to stress again that everyone should play the role by participating in succeeding the objectives of Green School. This has been proven by the study and survey for the duration of this research. The responses we've received from our respondents speaks for itself. We've interpreted the data and clarified all the bliss along with the skepticisms we've overlooked by the Sainsri community themselves. In conclusion, fostering sustainable practices. Is Sainsri ready? Yes, Sainsri is ready. Thank you.
Now we move on to the Q&A session.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning. I am Nurul Akila from Sekolah Menengah Sains TENGKU ABDULLAH. So, based on your research, do you use random or non-random sampling to select your target population? If random, how do you determine your sample size?
May you repeat the question again? Sorry.
Okay. Based on your research, do you use a non-random or random sampling to select your target population? If random, how do you determine the sample size?
So, for the target audience, we've selected so that the respondents will be our Sainsri community, which including students, school staff, teachers, and our 2023 alumni. Did that answer your question?
Hi, good morning. I am Murfika from Integrasi Kuantan. So I mentioned before that Sainsri use organic soap in their daily basis, right? So how does that give impact to the student in quality education?
Okay, thank you for the question. So, the use of this eco-friendly soap or organic soap has impacted or influenced the quality education since we are distributing the soap around the school compound, such as the school toilet, which are used to wash the hands, and also the school dorm to wash the clothes and the shoes. We also use it in the school dining hall to wash the dishes. Thank you. Yeah. So another question?
So I am from Sekolah Menengah Sains Kemas and I want to ask, as we see, your research focus on eco-friendly soap that can be used by students of your school. So how can your eco-friendly soap help education plant green school practices in other schools?
Okay, thank you for the question. So we have realized that the cooking oil has been gone to waste, and that's a lot of them, like a lot. So we've decided to come up with this one sustainable practice, where we recycle the used cooking oil to be made as eco-friendly soap. Is that answering your question?
So how can it be applied to another school, to other school?
Okay, so this eco-friendly soap concept can be applied at other school, especially fully residential schools, where they can get the used cooking oil in the school canteen and the school dining hall. They also can sell this eco-friendly soap, and this also helps to promote sustainable practices and also business. Is that answer your question? Thank you. Any other questions you might want to ask?
Right, thank you. You have mentioned that everybody must work together, right? In practicing the best practice in schools. So how you are going to ensure it is achievable?
So we will try our best to make the sustainable practice achievable by promoting the sustainable practice to the school compound, such as, as we mentioned before, the eco-friendly soap has been distributed around the school compound, such as our school dorm to wash our clothes and shoes, and also school dining hall, school canteen, and also the school toilet. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, presenters from Sekolah Menengah Sains MIRI, for your presentation.
International students from Sekolah Menengah Agama Negeri 1 Purworejo SC3. So please welcome.
Good morning to the judges, teachers, guests, and the participants of FRSIS 2024. Let me share my experience when I first entered my high school. So when I first entered my high school, I was stunned by the cool surroundings. Then I found out that my high school runs green school program, or we call it Adiwiyata. This program is aimed at increasing environmental awareness among the students. Is it effective or ineffective? I'm Vanessa Anastasia with my team members, Aurela Fionley, Safrida Palindiana, Zia Diratani Saputri, and our supervising teacher, Mrs. Rani from SMA Negeri 1 Purworejo. Today, we'll tell you about our presentation with the title Adiwiyata School Program, Effective or Ineffective. But before the presentation starts, I want to tell you about Adiwiyata School Program. It's a program where the community works together to support global sustainability and climate action. Schools are supposed to inspire not only their student and teacher, but also their entire community. So now, the presentation will be started by my teammate.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, climate change and global warming have become concerning issues in 21st century. One of initiatives taken in schools in Indonesia, the Green Schools, is expected to be a step towards addressing them. The program implemented in Indonesian schools is called the Adiwiyata School Program. This program has been in existence since 2006 when it was introduced by the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. Its aim is to educate the students to be aware of environmental matters.
Next is our research objective. So our research objective are to know the effectiveness of Adiwiyata School Program in changing students' attitudes and awareness towards environmental conservation, both within the school and in the community, and also seeks to formulate solutions in shaping characters who are environmentally aware characters.
Okay, based on our research, it was found that the Adiwiyata School Program is effective in increasing students' environmental awareness towards both their school and residential environmental, but it still needs to be improved. As the first journal stated, that it was 72% effective.
So there is also a second journal, which states that Adiwiyata's programs is evidently effective. Apart from that, the results of the questionnaires that we distribute to 80 students shows that 61.2% of them experience an increasing awareness of the environment with the Adiwiyata program that held at school. So, from the findings, the solutions that we offer to increase the effectiveness of the programs are, first, establishing collaboration with relevant organizations, such as environmental services or extracurricular activities or programs. For the example at our school, namely Student Council, outdoor and nature enthusiasts, and also school projects.
And these are the activities that our programs call. Okay, the second one is holding AASC program or Adiwiyata Ambassador Simulation Challenge, and we can call it AC. In general, AC is a program that carried out Adiwiyata activities and product innovation competition by students within a certain period of time. The main goal is to shape students' environmental awareness through simulation and competition. And of course, this program can be implemented on national and international scale. Ladies and gentlemen, the AC program is inspired by two existing programs, namely ATC and Carinova. ATC, or Agriculture Training Camp, is a model of agricultural training for the younger generation with more activities outside the classroom through outbound as well as direct look at variety of plants and practices than classical lessons.
Meanwhile, Creativity and Innovation Community, or well known as CRENOVA, is a facilitation activities in order to foster a culture of creativity and innovation among the students and the community that able to create a products that useful for sustainable living.
Therefore, the AC program requires the creation of products that support Adiwiyata School Program for each participant. In addition, the simulation activities that carried out in this program include planting, waste sorting, and product presentation activities like having discussion and sharing.
So this entire program series is carried out jointly with the hope that there will be an exchange ideas among the students, and it is hoped that the representative students will able to channel the results and knowledge that gained from this program to the students from their home regions, which will enable the implementation and product innovation for the regions or school to support a green school for greener future and sustainable lifestyle.
In conclusion, to solve climate change and global warming, the Adiwiyata School Program was formed. The Adiwiyata School Program is effective in increasing environmental awareness, but it still needs improved by establishing collaboration with relevant organizations and holding AASC program. Green schools, it's not just a school.
It's a global movement to raise change makers.
Because our world needs us now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any question?
Right. Good day. I will start first. Right. So looking at the data here that you had provided with us, 61.3 of participants saying that the Adiwiyata program is effective. However, we could see that 38.7% saying that it's not effective. So the number for me is quite concerning, almost 40%. So in your own words, in your opinion, why did we have this 40% saying that the program was not effective?
Okay, but thank you for the question. I will tell you the 40%. We have distributed the questionnaire for 80 of students that we asked them for the activities like planting in our school, and that's why the students most of the students say that it's effective, and the 40% is non-effective. And yeah, most of the 40% said that they are like ignore the environment around our school, and for the 61.3%, it said that that is effective then, and they do it like the Adiwiyata activities, most of them like that. Is that all? Is there any question again?
Right. Basically, can you explain to us Adiwiyata school program, because it's not really clear there. I have one question. Do all schools in Indonesia practice this Adiwiyata school program? Is it a must for every schools?
Okay, the Adiwiyata school program now is most of the school in Indonesia held Adiwiyata school program, but not much of the school because the lack of allocate the funds to do Adiwiyata schools, and also there are kind of like there are Adiwiyata National and Adiwiyata by their school, just at school. And at our school, we had Adiwiyata National, which we have a collaboration with all of the national schools that held Adiwiyata school. Basically, Adiwiyata school is a school that works together to make a global sustainability and more sustainable lifestyle. That's all. Yes, there are many activities more than just planting and resorting and etc. There are so many, but we just said it that for the examples.
Now, Thank you, fellow judges, for your precious time. Thank you, peop- uh, thank you everybody for participating in our session today. So that's all.